Hello, welcome back. For years, the Swaggart family was viewed as a symbol of strength and unity in the Christian world. Their ministry reached millions through television and church services, and from the outside, they appeared untouchable. At the heart of it all stood Frances Swaggart, the matriarch who carried herself with poise and discipline. She wasn't just Jimmy Swaggart's wife, she was the backbone of the entire operation. People admired her calm spirit, her devotion to the church, and her ability to keep the family together. To the public eye, she was the glue that held it all in place. Yet beneath the polished image, quiet cracks were beginning to show. Staff members noticed subtle shifts in atmosphere. Donnie, usually obedient and reserved, had grown distant. Gabriel, once full of life, looked drained. Even Jimmy seemed quieter, less fiery. There were no public fights or scandals, but there was an unspoken tension that hung in the air. Many noticed that Frances's control had grown stronger. Every decision, big or small, passed through her. At first, her tight leadership provided structure, but now it was stifling, leaving little room for others to lead. Meetings felt less like conversations and more like commands. Donnie, who had long accepted his mother's authority, started to feel smothered. He wanted to bring fresh ideas to connect with the younger generation, but his efforts were repeatedly dismissed. At first, he stayed silent, but quietly he began carving his own path, mentoring younger preachers, recording his own sermons, and slowly building a voice outside of his mother's shadow. He didn't want a battle, but he also knew he couldn't remain voiceless forever. Gabriel, meanwhile, found himself caught in a tug-of-war between generations. He respected his grandmother's stability but longed for the freedom his father was trying to create. Every choice felt like betrayal to one side or the other, and the weight of that left him conflicted and restless. Behind the scenes, whispers about Frances's control grew louder. Old records revealed years of decisions made without discussion. Staff let go without explanation, and money moved without clarity. Nothing was illegal, but it painted a picture of unchecked power. Donnie felt heartbroken as he discovered the side of his mother. She had raised him to value integrity, but some choices revealed a reliance on control more than trust. Eventually, Donnie could no longer stay silent. He called a meeting with the ministry board, speaking calmly but firmly about the need for transparency and change. With heavy conviction, he declared that his mother could no longer make leadership decisions. It wasn't said in anger, but in deep sorrow. Frances didn't lash out when she heard. Instead, she stayed quiet, staring at her son with pain in her eyes. For decades, she had carried the weight of the ministry, making sacrifices to protect it, but now she was being asked to step aside by her own child. Though she didn't fight, the wound ran deep. The aftermath was divisive. Some supported Frances, believing she had held the ministry together through storms. Others supported Donnie, eager for fresh direction. Staff members left, members of the congregation whispered, and even offerings began to dip. For the first time in years, people weren't just following the Swaggart name blindly, they were questioning it. Gabriel felt the burden most, standing between his father's quiet rebellion and his grandmother's legacy. Jimmy, older now, watched with sorrow as the ministry he had built with his family stood divided. This wasn't an attack from outsiders, it was a fracture from within. Donnie pressed forward as a leader, but he carried the weight of guilt and sadness over hurting his mother. Frances sat in silence, missing not just her authority but the closeness of her family. Gabriel longed for peace but knew healing wouldn't come easily. The ministry continued, but something was undeniably different. The people weren't just watching sermons anymore, they were watching the family, praying for restoration. The future of the ministry now depended on forgiveness and grace, not control. And the question that lingered in every heart was whether the Swaggart family could find healing before the legacy they had built crumbled beyond repair.